The new, more relaxed Ryan Day is exactly what Ohio State needs to finally snap the streak against Michigan.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your feel-good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes, and today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. During today's show, we will dive into the talent gap between the Buckeyes and the Wolverines, as well as some areas Ohio State must dominate to beat Michigan. But first, one of the toughest things to do in sports is to keep your poise and remain relaxed during very intense moments. We have seen numerous Ohio State players that rise to the occasion during big moments. I think of JT Barrett being one of those players. Also, there have been moments where Ohio State was not able to rise to the occasion when things got tough. Think back to the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago. And this year for Ryan Day, it's a version of Ryan Day that is more relaxed than normal. May be a new version, but there are still some of those old traits that Ryan Day still has in his bag that make him one of the best coaches in the country. And with this new version of Ryan Day, the more relaxed Ryan Day, I think it's exactly what Ohio State needs to beat Michigan this year. Because when you're more relaxed, but you know you have all these tools in your bag that you can pull out to just snipe down your opponent, you're going to be more comfortable. You're going to keep your poise. And that's something I don't think Ryan Day did a year ago. I don't believe Ryan Day kept his poise. He stayed cool during that game. He tried to do some things with the game plan that weren't well, and he didn't fix them throughout the game. Well, when you're relaxed and you feel more comfortable and you're able to keep your poise throughout very intense moments, you're able to do things that maybe people think you're not able to do because you're in your right mind and you're not trying to get outside of yourself. And a 4-game losing streak to Michigan isn't acceptable. It is not. Ryan Day knows that. The players inside the Woody know that. It's not acceptable. And so no one's trying to come up here and say that what has been going on is acceptable. It is not. It is not the standard. It should never be the standard. Not at all. And when it's not the standard, you can look out there and say, well, what has happened to lead to these results? Where in 21, 22, 23, and 24, Michigan got the better of Ohio State. Now, some of those years, Michigan was a better team. Not just in that game, but throughout the year, you could easily see leading into that game that Michigan was a better team. Sometimes Ohio State was a better team, and they still came out there and lost. Why? Because sometimes when the leader gets outside of themselves, and sometimes when the leader is not able to keep their mind right and just stay cool, calm, and collected, that transfers to the players. That transfers to the other assistant coaches. They feel his pressure. They feel that since he's not cool, maybe they won't be cool. And you get results like what happened last year. You can even say, well, let's not look at 21 to 23 for any reason. Okay, cool. Let's not look at that. Let's look at last year, which was easily the best Ohio State team throughout that four-game stretch. When it's the best Ohio State team during that 4-game stretch, and that team was not able to beat Michigan, whose fault was it? Well, it was partly the offense's fault. It was partly also the defense's fault where they were on the field a lot, but it still allowed Michigan running backs to get some key yards and key moments of the game, which allowed Michigan to have the upper hand there. But Michigan had a quarterback that was not good. I am not trying to say anything that's not true. He was not good. But on that day, he made enough throws to beat Ohio State. Now, in moments during that game when you thought, yeah, Ohio State's able to be here, Ohio State's able to do certain things, what happened? I think Ryan Day just didn't rise to the occasion. And we've talked about it here before about some guys at the high school level locally where I cover football, where you can look out there and say, yeah, that guy's not a big game coach. He's a good coach. He's a well-respected coach. He can even win you a sectional title locally. But, man, when you get to that regional level, that regional round, and you know you're going up against another team that is a true contender to win the state championship, man, you might not have what it takes. And there's a lot of coaches, I can think of one coach right now, that people have told me locally that, yeah, he just doesn't have it in big games. He can get you 6 or 7 wins in a regular season, go 7-2 in the regular season. Next thing you know, when he gets in a big game and there's a coach on the other side of the field that has more wins, that has more sectional titles, that has more trophies in his office, he's just going to crumble under pressure. A year ago, also, I'm not going to try to dodge the reality that I don't believe Will Howard was up to par. I believe when he got popped in the first half of that game, maybe he was concussed. I don't know. It was never reported that he was concussed. But it sure looked like when he went back on the field, he wasn't able to be the same type of quarterback. And Ohio State didn't have a counter. And that's one of the biggest issues with last year. There was no thought to have fearless play calling. Well, you could have fearless play calling while trying to work around the kinks of a quarterback that's clearly hindered. His abilities are clearly hindered by a hit that happened earlier. May it be a mental block, maybe a physical block, may it be both. I think both were real, but Ohio State wasn't fearless in that game on the offensive side of the ball. The Ohio State wasn't in an attack mode mentally. They were not. No. Who does that start with? The coach. They went into that game with a poor game plan. And I'm not here to try to rehash any poor memories, but more trying to bring back some stuff that happened a year ago to discuss what should not happen this year because of how relaxed Ryan Day currently is. Now, to get into the season, Texas week 1. Man, that's tough. That's a very, very, very tough game to open up with. Throughout the season, there are some easier games. After that Texas game, Grambling State and Ohio got an off week. Then there's this stretch at Washington, home against Minnesota. That's also homecoming on October 4th. Then on the road at Illinois and on the road at Wisconsin. Illinois will probably be a top 15 team, at worst a top 20 team at that point in the year. So you're looking at Ohio State, who should be top 5 in the country, versus a team which at worst will be a top 20 team. That's a big-time matchup in Champaign, Illinois. And in that 4-game stretch, if Ohio State loses to Texas, Ryan Day might be feeling some pressure. Then you get an off week after Wisconsin. Then you're home against Penn State. So really it's a 6-week stretch, 5 games in 6 weeks. That's a very, very, very tough stretch. Luckily, there's an off week between the road game against Wisconsin and the home game against Penn State. When you look at that stretch, what is one thing you want Ryan Day to be? Poised, relaxed, more so cool, calm, and collected. Well, if he's like that during those games, we know the intensity is going to rise Thanksgiving weekend against Michigan. That's easy to state. But while that's easy to state, it's also easy to say that Ryan Day needs to remain relaxed the entire time. Well, that is easier said than done. We have seen a lot of coaches out there that have been very relaxed, been very comfortable, that have sometimes been fearless and had an attack mode mentally throughout the season. All of a sudden, in a big-time game, they get to a moment where they can't rise to the occasion. They can't overcome the mental block to be fearless with the play calling or the mental block to be in attack mode mentally. And what do you find? They crumble under pressure. That can't happen this year. Ryan Day cannot allow that to happen. Do whatever you got to do before that game, the week leading up to it, whatever you got to do to remain fearless, have an attack mentality all game long, but still stay relaxed and poised when you play Michigan. Because if you do that, I guarantee you got the talent to beat Michigan. Sometimes having the talent isn't all that you need to beat a team. You also need to have a coach that's going to help put that talent in the right position to be successful. And a relaxed Ryan Day is a kind of coach to do just that. While Ryan Day being relaxed is great, there are also some things that Ryan Day can help the team do to dominate certain details to beat Michigan in the fall. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50 percent off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Thank you all for tapping in Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. I have really enjoyed this more relaxed version of Ryan Day. We have seen him do the media circus and media tour after winning the national championship. I believe he was on Kelly Clarkson's show. He was also on a late night show. Forgive me because I don't remember the host's name. But while Ryan Day was doing those shows, and as Ryan Day has gone around and been interviewed by Josh Pate, been interviewed by various people like Nicole Auerbach, what do you find? He seems very comfortable, almost like the monkey's off his back. Well, there have been multiple monkeys on Ryan Day's back. Some of them have found their way off. They just, oh, this went, get up off of me. Oh, another went, get up off of me. But there's a big weight on Ryan Day's shoulders still. But while that weight is on Ryan Day's shoulders, he looks very confident. He looks very calm. He looks like a version of a coach that I want leading Ohio State. Well, while Ryan Day is relaxed and more relaxed than normal, that's going to help the Buckeyes dominate the details. Because by dominating the details, you're going to make sure your game plan is correct. You're going to make sure the coaches are all on the same page. When you're situationally preparing for certain things to happen in a game, you know, well, this is what we prepared based off the things that they have done in the season, but also realizing, well, this coach has certain tendencies. He had them about 10 years ago. They might come up in a big game because the last time he did that, it was in a big-time game. It was a rivalry game. He pulled it out, and it worked. Well, we have a counter for that particular look. When you're relaxed, you're not stressing over stuff. You may stress a little bit, but you know that you can tap into some of the things that have happened previously for you as a coach to make sure you dominate the details. And one of those details you must dominate is the line of scrimmage. And I think in this game, it goes without saying that the team that wins a rushing battle is going to win the game. Now, that's not a foolproof thing because there have been games where the team that lost the rushing battle ended up winning the game. Don't ask me to quote the year that happened, the last time it happened, because as well as I am at remembering numbers and stats, that is not one that's in my brain. So forgive me for that one. But dominating the details sounds easy. Very, very easy. It's also very hard to execute. Because Urban Meyer would turn into being a very good podcaster, more so in a co-host role than a solo role, but very good podcaster. But one thing about Urban Meyer that he has said religiously that I have agreed with every time he said it is that you must win the battle in the trenches in big games. Your D-line must beat their offensive line. Your offensive line must beat their defensive line. Your backs must be elite in pass pro. Those are things you must do to win big games. And it doesn't matter if it's Ohio State versus Michigan or Ohio State versus Texas or Ohio State on the road at Wisconsin. It does not matter. While Wisconsin is not the caliber of team as Texas or Michigan, what do you know about that team? What do you know about the people that are at Wisconsin? They're Big Ten players. They got Big Ten offensive linemen. They got Big Ten defensive linemen. That means you're big. That means you're physical. A lot of them are going to be mentally sound, very, very smart. And what do you need to do? Be better than them. And a relaxed person is going to figure out ways to prepare at an elite level to dominate the details. That's a version of alliteration I love. I don't know if that's going to be something I'll be saying throughout the season, but if it comes up again today on this Feel Good Friday on July 11th in the year 2025, this is the first time that I've said that probably ever on this show because it's important. It's very, very important. Your job or my job, your household or my household, there are various details that must be dominated. You don't want to miss trash day. While trash day is not like the end of the world if you forget it, it could be something where you have trash piled up in your garage or outside of your home that leads to a smell that lingers for a week longer than it should have been there. Or it could lead to some conversations about, well, why did you forget? What happened? Are you okay? Or things of that nature. And so you don't want to forget trash day. You don't want to forget picking up Junior from school. You don't want to forget your morning workout. You don't want to forget those things. Well, those are things that if they are missed, it's not the end of the world. Well, excuse me. If you forget Junior at school for picking him up, that could lead to some pretty bad stuff. Just saying. Just saying. It's also not the end of the world. Like, you'll get Junior, you'll be able to pick him up and get him back home in a safe and warm environment. Not saying where he goes is not safe and warm, but you get what I'm trying to say. But dominating the details, even outside of the football field, it's needed. Some of those details are very, very big. Like, hey, on the snap of the ball, make sure the ball gets to the quarterback. I say that because a year ago, Ohio State had a center that had issues snapping the ball at his previous school. Some say it was due to the cadence between Seth McLaughlin and Jalen Milroe. I don't know how that could be the thing if it were to last, every single game all season long. I don't know if it's truly the snap or if there were other details involved into why there were snapping issues. As a former center myself, you can't allow that all season. I don't care if you're playing 9 games, if you're playing 15 games. You don't allow snapping issues to linger all year. No, I don't care how good of a guy Seth McLaughlin is. Y'all fix that in practice. You fix that. If it's a cadence thing, you figure that out early and you fix it. If it is your technique, you fix it. On either side, don't really matter. You fix it. So I understand that it's a cadence thing, or come on now. If it's truly a cadence thing, you fix it. You find ways to fix it. That's what you do. It didn't happen, though. That's one of those details. Some other things, as far as dominating the details, some of the stuff is your offseason focus. And there's one thing interesting this year that I haven't heard from Ohio State that I didn't hear last year as much, but a couple years ago, it was, we're going to beat them. We're going to beat them. A lot of talking, a lot of offseason yapping. And I don't know if there was I know the work is being put in, but man, at some point it's just like, hey, shut up till you win. Just stop talking till you win. Because after 2 losses in a row to that team, man, you got to be sitting up here thinking like, we doing all this talking, we doing all this work, and the result is still an L. So how about we just shut our mouths, we go back to work, we keep our mouths shut, and just keep our heads down and keep grinding. Watch that film. Keep grinding. Pump that iron. You keep grinding. Run more sprints to make sure that we are where we need to be and do what we need to do to beat Michigan. At some point, you got to just stop talking. Now, I say that knowing that Jeremiah Smith was just interviewed by Manny Navarro of The Athletic, and he discussed that, hey, over the next 2 years, I'm not going to lose to Michigan. Not a direct quote, but it was basically saying, I'm not going to lose to Michigan. He didn't come to Ohio State to lose to Michigan. I mean, newsflash, I don't think anybody came to Ohio State to lose to Michigan. Like, he is not saying anything that is not common knowledge. Ryan Day didn't get hired and then all of a sudden say, oh, I'm cool to losing to that team up north. No, absolutely not. Julian Sand didn't transfer and say, I'm cool losing to the rival. No, you don't do that. And so, of course, Jeremiah Smith, if you ask him a question about Michigan, of course he's going to say, hey, man, I didn't come here to lose to that team. I'm not mad at him, because if you ask me the same thing, I'm going to get the same result. When I was in high school at LC, our biggest rival was Lawrence North. We called him LN. If you were to ask me in high school, are you comfortable losing to Lawrence North? I would have said no. No, absolutely not. Did you come here to lose to them? No. That goes with middle school rivalries. They go for sibling rivalries, whatever kind of rivalry it is. You don't want to lose. And you're not going to go into a battle being comfortable with a loss. And so I'm not mad about Jeremiah Smith saying that. Nor am I mad that he has said, I will not lose to Michigan. Not mad about that. Not at all. Because that's how you want your leader to talk. That's how confident you want your leader to be. But you know what Jeremiah Smith does that a lot of people don't get to see? He dominates the details. Jeremiah Smith, a leader on the team, one of the 3 Buckeyes representing Ohio State in the Big Ten Media Days, is up to 225 pounds. I believe he was 205 last year. 205 to 208. Still, basically a 20-pound gain in muscle. He is the second lowest body fat on the team, and he ran 22 miles per hour in a game. So if you think about all of those things, running 22 miles per hour, having the second lowest body fat on the team, and being at 225 pounds, at 6'3" as being the best player in the country? He's putting that work in. And part of the work he's been putting in is him dominating the details with his physical body. And when he is doing that, you're going to find other guys that maybe want to slack off, but say, if Jeremiah Smith is doing it, and he is the highest rated player in a college football video game, I need to put in that same kind of work too. I'm not saying get the body type like Jeremiah Smith, but putting that work like Jeremiah Smith as he dominates the details. And more relaxed Ryan Day is great. I love it. Being able to dominate the details to beat Michigan, I love that too. But I also love the talent gap that Ohio State has over Michigan. This episode is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hard-working manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hard-working minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. Thank you all for tapping into Locked on Buckeyes right here on the Feel Good Friday and making this show your first listen of the day. I hinted at it yesterday. It was a pretty big hint that on today's show, it's all about beating Michigan. That 4-game losing streak annoys me. I was on a podcast recently and somebody brought up the losing streak and it struck a nerve, man. I felt my heart start beating faster and the blood start pumping like crazy because I don't like Michigan. I have no problem saying that at all. I don't like Michigan. It's been a team that I have not been able to stand ever since I became an Ohio State fan, and that feeling is never going to go away. I don't like Michigan. While I don't like Michigan, I bet you don't like Michigan too. And I guarantee if you don't like Michigan, you're tapped in on this show saying, well, a relaxed Ryan Day is good. Hey, dominating the details is even better. But you know what's even better? What goes into both those things? How much talent Ohio State has. And their talent is better than what Michigan has. You can go up and down the roster. I am not going to say that Michigan might not have a player over there or position group that is better than Ohio State's. I'm not going to say that. But I will say this. I would stack Ohio State up, O-line versus O-line against Michigan, and see who wins. Quarterback versus quarterback, running back versus running back, receivers versus their receivers, D-line versus I think you could go across the board, especially when we get to the middle of the season, to say, well, we know on paper Ohio State has a talent gap over Michigan. But, man, once you get into gameplay and we see how the boys are playing every Saturday in the fall, you're going to look out there and say, there's no reason why Ohio State should lose to Michigan once again. You got a relaxed coach. They're dominating the details, and they got a whole lot more talent than the Michigan Wolverines. Because trust me, you need talent to beat this team. There's a good team. They recruit a lot of elite players. Now, they are currently in the midst of a waiting period where they're trying to figure out what's going to be punished. And I heard Sam Webb on a podcast recently, and he said, hey, if the NCAA accepts the punishment that we suggested, and I get it. Like, he's someone that covers a team, you need to say, and it was in context. He didn't say anything wrong, wondering about, hey, if the NCAA accepts a punishment. It's a pretty bold thing to do as well. I know you can kind of offer, say, hey, well, yeah, at this punishment. That's pretty bold. Because when you break rules, this is a Sam Webb's fault. I'm not trying to knock him at all. Not now. When you break rules, you should not feel comfortable going out there and saying, well, I broke the rule, but I'm also going to suggest my own punishment. That's pretty bold, man. That's pretty bold. I mean, it would be nice if Ohio State back in 2010 with the whole tattoo gate fiasco, which is still one of the dumbest things that's happened in collegiate sports. Now, I get it. It's against the rules. I'm not trying to say it's not against the rules. I also realize you can go out there and be like, hey, this rule is stupid. I know y'all broke it while it was still a rule, but it's very, very dumb. Y'all are straight. Let's just change this right now. Like, I get that. It's a rule that was stupid. There are a lot of rules out there that are stupid. That's how college sports are. I hope that they end up changing some of the rules that are stupid, but that's one of them. What's not stupid for Ohio State is that if you look at the depth chart, I'm gonna pull this up really quickly on my computer so we can look at this side. I can look at this side by side with you because I want to make sure we're all on the same page in regards to Michigan and what they have. As it was up on my computer, but my computer decided to basically blank out the entire screen. I'm not sure why that's happened. It's never happened when I've gone to this website to get a depth chart because I don't know it off the top of my head. Let's go down each position, and I can guess what you're going to say, but you can say it in your own head. Right now, it seems like Bryce Underwood is going to be the starting quarterback for Michigan. Mikey Keene is a transfer, a grad transfer. He could start. But do you think that you would pick Julian Sand or Bryce Underwood? We can wait a little bit. You can answer that for yourself. Would you pick James Peoples and CJ Donaldson or Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall? We can wait a little bit. You pick. At receiver, would you pick Donovan McCulley, Frederick Moore, and Anthony Simpson or Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Brandon Ennis? You see the gist of what I'm saying here? Like, I'm not just saying this thing just to fill some space. It's real. Would you rather take Max Clare and Will Kazmarek or Marlon Klein and Hogan Hansen? I mean, there's a significant talent gap there. On the offensive line, I think Ohio State bringing in Ethan Ananwa and having Austin Servell, Tigger Shabola, Carson Hinsman, and Luke Montgomery right there. I think that cohesiveness, the camaraderie that unit kind of built and cultivated a year ago in the playoff, those are things that are going to be huge for Ohio State. The kicker is going to be on defense, and it's not because Ohio State doesn't have talent on defense. It's simply because they lost a lot of guys. They lost 8 starters. Now, they did go out there to the portal and bring in Bo Atkinson. So when you're losing Sawyer and Tuimoloau, when you're replacing them theoretically with Kenyatta Jackson Jr. and Caden Curry, that's a pretty significant drop off because the latter don't have significant experience. You bring in Bo Atkinson, who should start, that's going to limit the gap right there between Sawyer and Tuimoloau being gone. But even on defense, if you want to look at the secondaries, Jair Hill, TJ Metcalf, Rod Moore, Caleb Anderson, and Zeke Berry. So Jair Hill is good. TJ Metcalf is good. Rod Moore is good. That might be an area where it could be like a tie or a toss-up. Jermaine Matthews Jr., David Snake-Benosin, Malik Hartford, who may start, Jalen McClain. Caleb Downs is Lorenzo Styles Jr. there at the nickel. Like that could be a scenario where Michigan may have you at the nickel corner spot, or Michigan may have you at a particular safety spot. That may happen. But overall, right now, you tell me. I think Ohio State has a better player in the secondary, but that's a very neck-and-neck battle. But Ohio State has a lot of guys that haven't had a lot of significant playing time. So you may want to give that nod to Michigan for now. For now, I can give that nod to Michigan. That does not mean in the middle of the season, when we revisit that conversation, that it'll be the same thing. At linebacker, you got for Michigan, this is based off a website that has a projected depth chart. Derek Moore, Jashawn Barham, and Ernest Hausman. If they want to play 4, you got TJ Guy. Now, Ohio State only plays 2 linebackers in Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. Michigan's linebackers are good. Give me Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles all day. I think when it comes to the talent with these 2 schools, it's not as similar as it used to be because I think just overall, Ohio State has the upper hand in more position groups than previously. When it comes to head coach, would you rather have Ryan Day or Sharon Moore? I'm not going to give my 2 cents on this one. You know where I stand. Where do you stand? Because I think not just us here, I think people around the country would take Ryan Day every day of the week and twice on Sunday, I know I said I wasn't going to get my 2 cents, but y'all know me. I got to get my opinion off. Of course I'm going to take Ryan Day over Sharon Moore. Of course I am. Well, it's not even because Sharon Moore is a young coach. It's not why. Ryan Day just has done a lot with what he's had in a short period of time. Even when he came in as an offensive coordinator, he got the best passing year out of JT Barrett. He got a monster year out of Dwayne Haskins. His first couple of years, he had Justin Fields. He had Ohio State in the playoff both of those years. One year, they were literally one bad read away from beating Clemson and then going to play LSU in the Natty. The very next year, they smacked Clemson and went to the national championship. Give me Ryan Day. Give me the man led the Buckeye program in Columbus, Ohio. The talent gap is large. It's very large. The Buckeyes must dominate them details. And this relaxed Ryan Day, y'all, this is exactly what the Buckeyes need to beat the Wolverines in the fall. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the portal because my guy, Brian Smith, he's got the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. He can also help me be the most informed fan knowing about what's going on in college football. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the portal as well as Locked on Buckeyes to make sure you tap it to us on the YouTube to get the video option. But also, if you're like me, you like the audio podcast, you can follow both shows on the Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your fine podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes right here on A Feel Good Friday. We'll see you next time.